Welcome, everybody, back to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about Stephon Gilmore. Now, initially, my plan for today's episode was, should the 49ers go and sign Stephon Gilmore? Reportedly got released. Then, before he gets released, the Panthers swoop in, move a 2023 sixth-round pick, and go get him. If anybody's not familiar with the Panthers roster, they are absolutely building up a monster of a squad. Like, they're going to be very, very good. They lost JC Horn, so that's kind of the move that they do. They also traded for CJ Henderson. And I think a lot of 49er fans are really frustrated about this because the Panthers moved, what was it, a 4 and a 6. Like, they didn't move heavy draft capital to go get two potentially really good corners. I say potentially because Henderson has been a little bit iffy, but Stephon Gilmore is a little bit older. He's 31 now, coming off of that quad injury. And I think there's some question marks around his name. Still, a sixth-round pick for a potential number one corner is not bad at all. I think what this shows is that the 49ers aren't trying to go all in this year, which is a little bit frustrating when you look at the roster coming into the season and you kind of like the expectations coming into this year. It's very frustrating. So should they have done it? Did they make a mistake? I think they made a mistake in the offseason by not adding corner depth and not really adding secondary depth, much of it. And I think that's where the biggest mistake is. I think right now, for where they're at, I don't think it's a terrible mistake. They would have had to move some deals. They only have like roughly $3 million in cap space right now. And Gilmore has a $5.7 million cap hit. So they would have had to make some moves a little bit, change some dead money, change the way that like the contracts work for some of their players. But I would have rather them traded a 6th-round pick for a guy to, maybe potentially save the season. Like, I don't think the season's in jeopardy of like, it's over 4 games into the year, but it would help the secondary a lot. I think we could all agree with that. Now, he is hurt. Maybe that's why they don't really go and inquire about a deal, but it's definitely frustrating. I think the 49ers' biggest mistake wasn't necessarily like today, like not going and getting him, but it was in the offseason. You have Jimmy Garoppolo on a $26 million cap hit, and you could have went after a different bridge quarterback that could have, had a less cap hit, and then you could have used that money in the secondary because the 49ers haven't spent like any money in the secondary in a few years now, but this year, there wasn't a reason to believe that this cornerback room was going to go out there and ball out. Like, I get how good Jason Verrett was in 2020, but we got to look at his injury history. Like, that wasn't surprising at all that he went down early on in the season. It's really unfortunate. Emmanuel Mosley's looked good. Diamador Lenore's looked good. But even when those two guys have looked good, K'Wan Williams has been out. Like, you just don't have the depth there. When you have to bring in Dante Johnson to go like guard Devontae Adams one-on-one, that's not a good idea. Like, that is bad roster construction. So I think the biggest mistake is not having better roster construction in the offseason in terms of the secondary. I will also say I am very big on building like from inside out. So, building that defensive line, that front seven before the secondary. But it's different when you do that and then you don't have any depth in the secondary. The 49ers kept like 10 defensive linemen or 11 defensive linemen if you include injured players on the roster. They could have flipped some of those guys, or like one or two of them, to go get a better piece in the secondary. Like, they need it there. You can't start really bad corners in today's NFL. I mean, we've seen how that works out. Guys will just get cooked. Now, last week against the Seahawks, I thought the Niners corners did a fine job. But against Green Bay, it was really, really bad. And if not for Diamador Lenore this year, like their secondary would look like it's in complete shambles. It would look like there's no one young coming in. Like, the best player after Jason Verrett's injury would be E-Man. And E-Man's solid, but he's not some like crazy good corner. So I think that the biggest mistake has been roster construction with this defense. We're starting to see that in the second half. If the pass rush doesn't get home, like if they're able to move the ball out quickly, these offenses are marching down the field on this secondary. And they're not really able to hang right now. So I think that's the biggest mistake. I was frustrated with them not going and making a move for Henderson or for Gilmore. Maybe they still make a move for Cameron Dantzler. I don't know where that situation's at anymore. Maybe there's a couple other guys that names pop up. Maybe J.C. Jackson, even if they can move him, it would cost more because Gilmore's hurt. I think that's why it was so cheap. Also, Gilmore's an older player, but I don't know if you're going to be able to, really fix the secondary during the season like now, because those are two of the biggest names that were being shopped, and those guys are now off the market. So it's getting a little bit scary for the 49ers. I think they should have made some type of move, not counting Drake Kirkpatrick or Josh Norman. However, Josh Norman has looked pretty good, but shows apparently they're confident in these guys in-house. We will see if that works out. I'm very skeptical about it, though. I don't know if this is the best move, but anyone listening, what are your guys' thoughts? Comment those below. And if you aren't subscribed to the video and you guys want some 49ers content daily, you can go ahead and subscribe as well. Appreciate all the support. I've seen a lot of people, coming out saying like, hey, really like your stuff. That's awesome to hear. Love hearing that. But yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it as well. Did the 49ers whiff? Did they have a big whiff today by not going out and getting Stephon Gilmore? Or is this a right move in the long term? Please let me know what your thoughts are. So thank you all for listening, and I'll be back.